this goes on for 2 years in the hotel industry, is there going to have to be a government bailout? I mean, how is
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a wait and see approach. I believe that there's going to be enough activity that's going to at least provide hotels with enough revenue to operate. They won't be operating like they would normally operate. I mean, that's the balance that has to be struck. And it's almost every hotel or each company will have to find that balance on their own. Some hotels are very dependent on convention and conference business. Some hotels are very, as they're located near an airport, very reliant on air travel. So it depends on what sector or what market you serve with your property. Some of these luxury hotels, I think, are going to be in for a challenge, in my opinion. I don't know if that luxury market will come back as soon as maybe the more roadside, shall we say, 3-star properties might. So it's kind of depending on what product you have and where your properties are located and what markets they're in. There's assumptions that Montreal and Toronto will be slower to come back than, say, Halifax or St. John's or Regina or those markets. Even Vancouver, for that matter. I think BC's in pretty good shape. So, yeah, it's a hard question to ask. I mean, it's certainly a valid concern. I think any hotel, any company that's in the business is trying to forecast and looking at that long-term situation. But all we can do is just roll with the punches and come up with a plan or plans to meet those hurdles as we come up to them. Right now, I think we got through that first phase of just like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I think they've all settled in now and kind of are being able to navigate our staffing levels, how we're going to clean the rooms, how we're going to do a check-in. Essentially, that's all. There's no housekeeping service, for instance, for hotel guests that are in the hotel. Your room will not get serviced. And if you need something, you call and it will be delivered, left at your door. So there's not a very personal touch there. I know some of these luxury hotels, as you would call them, I guess, like their valet parking isn't available. I don't know if valet parking will ever exist, however long this is going on for. Some of those real nice touches that you would look forward to in staying in a nicer hotel probably won't exist. So that's going to be a challenge in some way or another. But I guess if they're all doing it, then what's the challenge? Like, what's the problem? If all the luxury hotels are faced with the same situation, then they'll just have to do without that part of their service for a period of time and hopefully can bring it back once everything settles down. So I guess in a nutshell, it's you just have to kind of take each month as it comes, each week as it comes, and hopefully, there's going to be enough business coming just with some of the restrictions lifted that will allow us to be able to operate at some level with some bit of revenue. You got the 75% wage subsidy that, of course, looks and sounds great, but we don't have revenue coming in or very little. So I guess as a hotel industry, tourism for that matter, and even the restaurants you could throw into that conversation. I think that's going to be one of those areas that we hope will be able to be extended until maybe even this time next year. That there'll be special provisions. So we're not looking for a bailout as much as you're looking for some of these programs to be extended to the point where we can enjoy them with a bit of revenue and actually sort of see some savings from it.
Wow. So, I mean, what you're talking about is wage subsidies for a year or so. And you're probably right. It probably has to go that way. I'd love for us to get an economist, and we should see if we can do that, guys. If we can find an economist. I don't know anyone. I'll call it my old professor. But
you should, if you can get in touch with somebody at McKinsey and Company, those guys have been doing some awesome work through all this.
Okay. McKinsey.
They really have.
Greg, just a quick question for you. One of the things I've seen is some people wonder if, people are not really going to be traveling. Newfoundlanders are not really going to be traveling for vacation, the trip to Florida, that kind of thing. Do you think there's any kind of silver lining here as far as, people staycationing here in the island? Let's assume that things relax in the coming months.
Yeah, well, that is a silver lining for sure. It's a good way to put it. And I'm always the eternal optimist, and I feel that that everybody likes to focus on I wouldn't say it's negative, but tend to go to that side of like, oh my God, it's going to be changed so much, and what are we going to do? I think it's just that there's people that have that pent up demand, and travel. People love to travel. They love to get away from their, you know, their home. They want to be able to take their family and be able to go away and, you know, experience somewhere they haven't been before. And I think St. John's, if we're talking about St. John's and Newfoundland specifically, we are still a bucket list destination. I mean, there are even that many Canadians that will say that St. John's, Newfoundland is a bucket list destination, and that's somewhere that they've always wished to go. And you could probably attribute it a lot to our advertising, which everybody is aware of and knows about, the imagery and the feel that you could even convey in those ads. I'd also say that we're doing some great work on the digital side, the social media side. I think the province has done some great stuff with that. And I think that there's
it's an easy place to market. You know, let's be real about it. I mean,
it's sexy. It's you know, there is a sexy appeal to St. John's in particular.
Yeah.
I think we.
I mean, look at those television shows that we have.
Yeah.
You know, Republic of Doyle. It's funny. I watched a rerun of Republic of Doyle they had on CBC the other night, and their first episode. I was living in Toronto when that show first came out, and you know, that's a really good show, and it really is. You know, it's good TV, and you know, you get to see St. John's in it, and people go, "Where is this?" And now I heard Hudson and Rex, which is the new television show for City TV. I hear that's doing really well as well. And I watched a little bit of the show yesterday, and we do have a really scenic, beautiful province for 3 months a year.
Yeah. Well, you know, like for everything that we look at where we live, and you know, you could like tear it apart and say, "Oh, wish we had this, wish we had that. Why do we do it this way?" I mean, there's so much that our visitors take out of it. It kind of just always reminds you of just, you know, what we feel our destination offers, and what we look at it as being what we would look at when we travel is not what people are looking for when they travel here. I mean, it's, you know, the wide open spaces, the scenic views, the culture, the history, the authenticity. So I guess getting back to that point was that, to answer Pete's question, would be that, you know, I think Canadians, when they look at the list of places to go in Canada, because they're not going to be able to travel elsewhere other than within their own country, that I think St. John's will be near the top of the list.